Oh, hello there, everybody, and welcome to my presentation of my own story that I have written about Pokemon, of course. This is Mr. Jum, if you haven't already guessed, and yeah, I am going to present my book, My Pokemon and I, Reliving the Crisis. This is a story that I have written. It is roughly about 387 pages long at this particular point, because it's not 100% uh, on the computer yet, but it soon will be. But for now, I can show a few points. Now, in this video, I will be reading off the prologue of my book, which is very, very important for all you people who are interested, because this book is kind of in the middle of my series, but it's the most complete one, and it also has something. It also has a lot to do with the Pokemon Heroes movie, and therefore that's the reason why I wish to read the book off now. Now, the reason why I made the prologue is because it's also based on the Pokemon Heroes movie, and yet it's also tied in with my series as well. And what my series is about, I will read it off to you right now. Now, before we begin, I'm gonna do the full screen reading, and I'm gonna adjust. Actually, no, not adjust the margins. I'm going to do it like this. That way you guys should be able to see it if I'm not mistaken. I'm just gonna take a quick look. Yeah, you guys should be able to see that pretty well. You guys can zoom in if you want. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to read off the prologue actually to you, and I will explain more about it on the way, because, I mean, you guys can read it by yourself if you wish to, by just turning the sound effects off, but I will read it out loud and explain it as I go along, so people have an understanding of what the story is about, and what leads up to this adventure in the story. This, I believe, is the second huge adventure in the story, tied with all the other little stories and all the stuff that I've written. But this is what my series is mainly about. And the prologue. A world filled with Pokemon is always full of excitement. As you know, humans and Pokemon have been interacting with one another for centuries. What people decide to do with these magnificent creatures is different for every individual. Some might study and do research on them, some may breed with them, and, most of all, some become Pokemon trainers. I, Mike Cole, used to be a Pokemon trainer. I remember those days. When I was young, I actually had a dream of becoming the best trainer I could be. The first Pokemon I ever met was in my backyard, which was also my first Pokemon. That Pokemon was a Charmander. I can still picture that. Soon after training Charmander for days, I managed to also catch a Pidgey and a Zigzagoon. I was so proud of myself when I caught them. And soon, after weeks of hard training, all three of my Pokemon went through some evolution stages. Soon, the Charmander, Pidgey, and Zigzagoon became the Charizard, Pidgeot, and Linoone that I know today. I must say that all three of them grew confidence and strength through evolution. It makes me happy to see that. When I turned 11, my parents suggested for me to go to a trainer school that was located in our town. I thought at that time it was a great idea. In that school, you learn your basic school subjects, but you also learn to become a better trainer, too. You also learn facts of some Pokemon. My life was going normally just like everyone else at that school. That is until winter arrived. This was the coldest winter that we had in ages. It was so cold that it actually attracted a lot of Ice-type Pokemon, including one that I never thought I would ever meet in my life. There was one day where I thought of taking a shortcut through the woods to get to school. And who did I meet along the way? It was the one and only Ice Bird Articuno. Now today, as you know, I wouldn't even think of catching a legend, or any Pokemon for that matter. But back then, I was extremely eager to catch it, just like any trainer would be. It wasn't easy at all to catch him. Linoone and Pidgeot both fainted, and Charizard was about to go next. With a Fire Blast and an Ultra Ball, I managed to catch him. At the time, that was the greatest moment of my life. It was right then at that spot that I set a goal to find and catch the other two legendary birds, Zapdos and Moltres. I spent weeks studying the facts of both legendary birds, and then pinpointed most of the possible locations in which they could be. I did see Zapdos one very stormy night, but I couldn't catch him then because the weather was so bad. However, the next day I did manage to find him and successfully capture him at a nearby power plant where he was resting. Moltres, on the other hand, was a very lucky find. I made a trip to the closest volcano I could find in my home, Billerica, Massachusetts. I know there's no volcano there. I made that up. Some things I do make up, people. In the volcano at Mount Molten, Melters was taking a lava bath. He was not happy to see me when I came. Catching him was even harder than the other two birds combined. I eventually did it, though, and my goal was accomplished. Another quick thing, there were maybe spelling errors or whatever. Just cut me some slack, it's not 100% done. Thank you. I had an ultimate team, it seemed to me. My Pokemon and I were really great friends, too. Everything went so smoothly, except for one terrible, unforgettable moment. I wanted to spend time with the legendary birds to get to know them. I was actually spending a little too much time with them. Pidgeot and Linoon were fine with this, but Charizard reacted differently. I don't know why, but somehow Charizard got the idea that I was replacing him with Moltres. He tried to hold back the feeling of replacement, but he couldn't. The feelings caused him to flee from me one day, and I never saw him return. I tried looking for him that very same day, but no luck. He was gone. That's pretty much how it begins. Is that it's some of the episodes where I, the main character, catch the legendary birds, and then Charizard runs away. No. After that point, I didn't want to have a sixth Pokemon with me, but soon the guilty feeling went away over time, and soon I was looking for another sixth Pokemon. I had no idea what Pokemon, or even type of Pokemon, I wanted to catch. It wasn't until one certain class project that I found the perfect Pokemon. The project was to catch any Pokemon and learn about them. I went to the state Great Book Farms to find the right Pokemon. I was hoping to find another cool bird Pokemon, but instead I found something else that could fly. I was totally shocked that day. I found in that field the legendary female Eon Pokemon, Latias. At first, I wanted to catch him more than anything. With a sneak-up tactic, I did. But as soon as I did, I felt incredibly guilty. Later on that day, I tried to talk and get to know Latias, but she did not respond to anything I said. Later on that night, Latias escaped from her Pokeball and woke me up. I then discovered something very unusual about Latias. She talked to me. She was really speaking English. Normally, Latias and Latios do not speak any human language, although they do have the ability to understand it. She somehow got the ability to talk one day, but I'm not sure how, though. Because of the talk we had that night, we got the chance to understand each other and become friends. And soon after that night, Latias and I grew to be best friends. She was the perfect Pokemon for my party. All of my other Pokemon seemed to like to have her around too. She was nice and helpful to them. The best part about Latias, I personally think, is that she understands me and how I'm feeling. Her ability to sense my feelings kind of helps with that. I love the fact that I could talk with Latias and wish for that there could have been a way for me to communicate with my other Pokemon. Soon, to my surprise, there was another way, but trying to get the ability was incredibly risky. Now, coming up is a part that I made up. It is about. This is actually one episode of my series here where the scientists create a way to communicate with Pokemon and kind of turn it into like an amulet type of item that you could wear, which is pretty interesting. I don't even know where I was going with this, but the main thing is that, well, I'll read it in a moment, but the main character seems to obtain one of these special objects in a raffle by, as you can read here. There was a prototype a necklace which translates Pokemon language into clear English. Not only that, it brings out the true English-speaking voice of the Pokemon. See, this is the reason why I did this, is because I've always wanted to know how. I mean, kind of like how the anime from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, those few episodes, how it was like they brought like the English speaking voice of the Pokemon. That was kind of cool. I like that. So I tried to do that in my own book and have the Pokemon have dialogue in it, and I like that personally. It's really fun to make the dialogue for the Pokemon and have them have personalities and talk and pick out what they say and how they speak it. It's pretty interesting to do that. And if you already read this, I am going to skip a little bit ahead because I just talked about this. It is called the Pokespeak Amulet, as you see on the bottom here. And later on, While they were making Pokespeed game, there was a whole bunch of enraged fire Pokemon broke out, and the whole entire building where they were making them was burned to the ground. Where no one was hurt, but all the material and the blueprints was all lost. I mean, yeah, that's kind of stupid how you would think, oh, why didn't they make another one? But I don't know, that's the only reason I could think of. I just wanted to make my character have a special ability to communicate with the Pokemon and only him. I don't know, it's just my way of just... And then pretty much like after the fire, everyone just forgot about it and just pretend like the amulet never even existed in the first place. I don't know, that's kind of a cheesy way to end that, but that's one episode that still has a lot of holes to fix. Besides the factory, now I'm reading again. Besides the factory fire, my life as a trainer went by smoothly. I was winning battles, getting a good reputation, and becoming even better friends with my Pokemon. Also, my gummy selling business was going well. There was, oh yeah, that's right, I sell gummies, which exists in the world. I just had to do that because they're yummy treats, so that's why. There was one thing that I failed to notice, though. I didn't think of the reason why Latias came to my hometown, and alone for that matter. The arrival of a certain Pokemon gave me the answer. It turned out that Latias had a brother. Her brother was Latios. Latios arrived at my house one day out of nowhere and found both his sister and I. He was outraged to see that his sister had become caught. I had no idea that Latias was supposed to be with him. Latios ordered me to release Latias from her Pokeball immediately. Or permanently. I felt so bad, so I did what he wanted. I remember that day very well. Latios and Latias flew off away from me, and that was that. I actually was so upset from what happened, and that I fell into a depression. That was the second Pokemon that I lost. It was just so awful. I didn't feel like doing anything from that moment on. I didn't battle with anyone. I didn't train my remaining Pokemon, and I didn't sell or even look for gummies. My reputation went down with it. Well, that's what I thought anyway. My ranking for school battling went from 1st to 467th, but everyone knew why. They didn't care about the standings because they knew that I lost a friend. One person offered to help me catch a dragon-type Pokemon or even a psychic, but I knew that nothing would be better than Latias. A few days after the scene came another unforgettable moment. I was on my deck sitting down in a chair when I was actually just about to fall asleep when I heard some high-pitched whining sounds. When I looked to notice, I noticed that it was both Latias and Latios. They both came back with something important to tell me. Latias convinced her brother that I was not any ordinary trainer. I didn't force Latias to battle like most trainers would. I also treated Latias and all my Pokemon with respect, love, and care. Latios agreed to have his sister stay with me. Not only that, Latios wanted to stay with me as well. The only thing is that Latios wanted was for him and his sister to be wild and not in a Pokeball. I agreed to his offer, but there was a slight problem. If they were wild, then that meant that anyone could catch them. I didn't want that to happen, so I told Latias it would be best if I caught both of them, but then I would send them out and never return them. Latios and Latias both agreed to this. I was so happy, and I was friends with Latias again, and now her brother too. Yeah, this part up ahead is kind of weird. I was in a mystery dungeon mood at the time, and I kind of made a new episode right after that about discovering like a little like hidden portal thingy near the school that actually led to a land that was kind of like with no humans. It's just Pokemon related. That's where the mystery dungeon part comes in. And that a lot of the Pokemon there were wild and free, and they didn't have to realize with any humans. But living in that area is small, and it can only hold so much. Then that's why not all the Pokemon can go there. Yeah, it's just I'm right here, seeing the world and the wild and free Pokemon that we're in. It made me want to find a way for my legendary Pokemon to become free without being caught. Pardon me a minute. Latios also thought that the idea was a good one. He gave my idea some thought and actually came up with an even better one. Latios suggested that we would come up with a special team that allowed us to help legendary Pokemon prevent from being caught. I thought that Latios' team idea was brilliant. With all the money I had and the ability to communicate with Pokemon, the team would be a success. All of my Pokemon agreed. I released all of them, but they still stayed with me. Then, after buying the equipment needed, such as Pokénavs for each member, yes, I made the Pokemon be able to use Pokénavs, which you would think would kind of make sense because in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon they're able to use badges that have multiple abilities and can do like a bunch of bizarre things. So I figured, okay, why can't they have the ability to use a Pokénav, a little like mini cell phone thingy that they used in Emerald, but now is in this book? It makes sense. If they have the ability to use a badge, they have the ability to use a Pokénav. Yeah, no, after buying all the equipment, the Legend Saver response team was created. I still thank Latios for that. I think that the hardest thing to do was to teach all the Pokemon on the team how to use a Pokénav. And that's where the whole thing is pretty much from this point on, it's all about the team, and like all it will ever be is the LSRT and the team. Pardon me. Hold on a minute. Ugh. I apologize for that. I had something in my throat. Yeah. So pretty much from this point, where my mouse is, from like this point on is pretty, and even like after this book I'm writing now or finishing up right now, it's all gonna be about the LSRT. It's all gonna be about the team and how the team goes on adventures, what issues the team goes on, what they go through. It's gonna be all about that. That's what the main thing is the team, and like what Mike's past life was is just that's how it, I don't know, that's just the beginning and what his life used to be leading up to the main point. It's a lot of episodes before that and all little adventures, but it leads up to the main thing, which is the LSRT and how he's the leader and how it all the Pokemon react with each other and help each other when needed. As we continue, I love being the LSRT leader to this very day. There were some things that the team did that made the team even better. I probably shouldn't have said team twice. Latias suggested one day that we would use our team to help, not only the Pokemon on it, but anyone else who needs help. I couldn't have agreed more. We actually helped out 10 people with problems, such as saving them from wild Pokemon, for instance. Some of the people we assisted reported us to the government for our rescues, and the LSRT soon became an official team. In other words, the Pokemon on the team cannot be caught by law. How awesome is that? Yep, so that pretty much means that, like, the team is official. No one can really catch them because technically they are owned, but they're not really. So pretty much it's like being owned, but not being owned by a trainer kind of thing. So the Pokemon are still wild, but they still have like the authority of not being able to be caught by anybody. After that came one mission worth telling. It was the time where Growlithe was lost and was looking for his master, excuse me. The Growlithe actually thought I was his master, even though I wasn't. In the end, it turned out that he actually had no master at all, and he wanted a home to stay at. I happily accepted him in my family, not as a team member though, but as a family pet. Yeah, I remember writing that little episode. It was kind of cute, where the Growlithe was looking for someone, and like a lot of LSRT members kept looking for the person around the town, but they couldn't because he didn't have one to begin with, and in the end we ended up keeping him as a pet. So he's kind of like the dog of the house, which is kind of cool. The people around my town like my team a lot. However, there's one Pokemon who despised my team, Mewtwo. He told me that he thinks my team is a scam and a menace. I have no idea why he thought that, though. He also told me that I was going to pay for thinking of such a scam, and he meant it. Now, yeah, this part here, pretty much here. This is my first adventure. This paragraph. It's just like a brief explanation of what the adventure's about. But the one I'm showing you right now is the second long adventure, like the second huge story. The first one is not fully written yet. I mean, I'm working on it still. I was more focused on this one because it was just in my head most of the time. but I will read you what happened. One night, Mewtwo used a special hypnosis on me to send me into a deep sleep. When I woke up, I noticed that Latias and Latios were not there, and soon I discovered something much worse. Mewtwo captured all 7 of my Pokemon and put them in cages. The only way for them to escape is to find seven keys scattered throughout the state, and also to find where the cages were hidden themselves. Mewtwo took the places I enjoyed to go adventuring in my past and turned them into my worst nightmares. I was so upset and stressed out during the adventure, knowing that my friends were counting on me to save their lives. Oh, I could go on and on with the troubles and the difficulties I had to go through to save them. One thing I will mention, though, is that the other Pokemon that Mewtwo captured, Ho-Oh. Mewtwo forced me and Ho-Oh to fight. He told Ho-Oh that the only way to become free is to defeat me. That wasn't true, obviously. Yeah, it made Mewtwo seem like an evil Pokemon, but one thing I noticed from the first movie is Mewtwo is a Pokemon that actually gets things misunderstood a lot, as I notice. He's one who judges things right away and whatever he thinks is right. I'm not saying he's a bad Pokemon, but obviously a lot of other Pokemon may think the LSRT is a scam too, because it kind of does look like I want to catch them, but even though I really don't. And also throughout the adventures, like the places that I went to was like, for example, one of them was like Linoon in the middle of like an island at a lake, because that's one of the spots we used to just hang out. Another spot would be a volcano. I think, yeah, I put Articuno at the volcano, Mount Molten again, as previously said, just to, just he or I shouldn't say I put them there. I don't even know why I said that. So I guess you could say YouTube put him there. What he was trying to do. He was trying to say to them, "Oh, this is your fault. If you wouldn't be here if you weren't on the team." Trying to persuade them to hate my team and me, and and he would have them be free if they promised to like turn against me and fight me. And he captured Ho-Oh as well. Still haven't wrote an explanation why. I apologize, but he caught Ho-Oh and he used him against me as well. And yeah, Mewtwo eventually got what was coming to him. There's a big, huge battle scene between Mewtwo and my team, which I haven't written yet, even though I've been putting it off. It's very hard to write battle scenes, I will admit. It is very hard it's easier to like make a comic or like anime to make a battle scene because you can see all the moves, the action. Writing it out is very hard. It's like writing the script for the battle. It's kind of hard to do that. It's better said with action than words. But I agree with that 100%. So that's why I haven't written the Mewtwo battle scene yet. I wish I could, but I want to make it epic, maybe like 20 pages long. So I just wanted to. It's just so hard just to make every little thing, but I'm working on it. So anyway, after the adventure, I found Ho-Oh the next day asking me to join the LSRT. I first thought that this was a trick because Ho-Oh doesn't usually trust any humans, but then he told me that he was grateful that I saved him from Mewtwo's clutches. He also told me about several times in which trainers tried to catch him. This is the reason why Ho-Oh distrusts humans. I was so glad that Ho-Oh trusted me during that time. I happily accepted him to the team. From that recruiting on, I made a goal to have as many legends or any Pokemon trust me as I can. I mean, having Ho-Oh trust me made me feel so good inside. Beyond this point, actually, a lot of Pokemon joined the LSRT, so that means a lot of Pokemon trusted me. Yep, one includes how Lugia joined. Yeah, because Lugia is also on the team. I'm gonna, later on, as I already said in the annotations, I believe, the characters of the team I'm gonna read off to you later. But for now, I'll just read off this. Lugia, the Legend of the Deep, is one of the many other Pokemon that joined the team. I'm not sure how Lugia found out about the LSRT, but I knew why she wanted to join. Yeah, I made Lugia a she. Just the only reason why I did is because I know that Lugia had like a child. I know that in one of the anime series. That's so I called it a female ever since, even though it's an it, but whatever. Um, I believe that she was afraid of being captured by any humans, especially with the season of the deep sea search going on. She didn't know any. She didn't show any fear about it though, but secretly she was nervous. I remember that night when she asked me to join. It was the middle of the night, and I was in my bed, not fully asleep. And I then suddenly heard this. I then suddenly start to hear banging noises on my window. After about a minute of banging, I got out of bed to see what was going on out there. I opened my blinds to see Lugia's face in my window. That scared the life out of me. She was sorry for scaring me. All she really wanted was to join the LSRT, and I happily accepted her. Mew was another legend that wanted to join, but she didn't ask me directly like Ho-Oh or Lugia did. She wanted to play a game with me to see if I knew what she was thinking. I made Mew a girl, even though I don't know. It's weird. I know in Mystery Dungeon, I think they said Mew was a male. I don't know why, but for some reason I always thought Mew was a female. At this point, I had no idea she wanted to join. I thought she would just saw me and wanted to visit for a while. She usually goes around the world looking for humans and Pokemon to play with, and I thought I was one of them. I finally realized why she came and wanted to join the team. She wanted to play with and be a part of the members on the team. That's just like that silly Mew. Well, now she got what she wanted, a spot on the team. And she still, as usual, plays those games. Let's see. Oh yeah, these paragraphs here is about the team of no evolution, as they call it. I don't know, that's like the first name I could think of. But what it is it's a Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle that are together as friends, and their main goal is to not evolve just because they like their small size and they dislike who they are. And they thought if they're caught by trainers, the trainer would force them to battle and evolve, which is something they don't want to do. So that's the reason why they joined the team. And here is, I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. Here, this one here, it's hello. There it goes. I don't know why my mouse was frozen there. Yeah, this one here was this paragraph here is about how Dragonite, Salamence, and Flygon all came to join the team. It was when we saved that Articuno from being captured, and they saw us do so, and because of that, they asked to join the team. Which that's really cool to have the three of them on the team. So mainly a lot of my team members are either birds or dragons, and that's right. And also made a point where I made an episode where Charizard actually returns, which that's actually really cool. I enjoyed making the plot line for that. I made the full depth of the plot, but I haven't like added all the stuff, like all the stuff that goes in between. Sorry, my bad. Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, I do have to read this because it's very important. With all these fantastic Pokemon on the team, everything was going great. However, there were a couple of problems. About 2 weeks since the three Dragon friends joined the team, Salamence wanted to go on a mission of his own. Not entirely sure what kind of mission it was, but he tried to force his friends to come along. Flygon went with him, but Dragonite declined. Dragonite felt as if he needed to stay with the team, it seemed. To be honest, I never saw Salamence and Flygon ever since they went on the mission. I just hope that they're okay. Now, what their mission is that the only thing that they told me in the book is the only thing that they told them was that it was friend based, and it was very important, and they had to go visit a friend, and they had to make sure they were okay, and that's pretty much it. And then after that, they said, oh, but it may take a while because we may do something after that, and blah, blah, blah. it's another one of those things. It's not like I did not want Salamence and Flygon in the book, but it's just I wanted to have a I wanted to make a sense of not really betrayal, but like it's hard to really describe. You could probably figure it out. I don't want to give it away. One other thing. Here we go. Yeah, this main paragraph here. This is pretty much the episode right before the story, right before this book, right here. One other thing was the truth that Latias told me about. They told me about their old life at their home at Altamar Island. I spelled Altamar with one word. I think it's two, but at the time I thought it was one, and I think every time I say Altamar it's one word, so cut me some slack. I'm just too lazy to change it, and there's some places that do say it with one word, and some places that spell with two, but mostly it's two, so I'm assuming it's two, but sorry, in the book it's gonna be one. They used to protect the city and its secret treasure, the Soldu. My bad. There was a movie that was based on them and how they protected the city. The movie also showed the crisis that took place while they were at Altamar. Latias and Latios showed me this movie, and I mean the Pokemon Heroes movie, by the way. I'm gonna mention this. The Pokemon Heroes movie does exist in this book, I guess you could say. But the thing of it is that the creator of the movie is unknown, and nobody knows how it was made. It's like one of those things where like a bunch of these movies have been created and made of past adventures that were huge and drastic. The Pokemon Heroes movie being one of them. But nobody knows how they were made. So pretty much that whole like adventure really did happen to Latias and Latios, and it's all recorded and put in here too, so they actually showed it to me. I know it's kind of a stupid concept, but that's the only way I could really explain it, and I'd probably apologize for like the lack of effort to describe it better. I guess I probably could have said, oh, they showed it to me during that, but I also added something very important later on that isn't described in the prologue, but it's later on in the book itself. There's a movie based on them and how they protected the city. The movie was also showed the crisis that took place while they were at Altamar. Latias and Latios showed me this movie, and I was devastated to see what happened to them. There were two thieves who wanted to capture Latios and Latias, and to also steal the Soldu. The thieves were eventually stopped, but Latios vanished in the process. The movie was very sad to me. Latias then told me that a few days after the crisis, she fled from the island and eventually bumped into me at Great Brook Farms. The good news is that her brother suddenly came back and eventually found her, as you know. I know what you're all thinking. How the hell did he come back? Well, that too is a huge mystery in the book, and I'm not gonna tell. It'll be explained on later on. Good news is that her brother suddenly came back and eventually found her. As you know, I've always wanted to know how Latios returned, but I never was able to figure it out. I suppose the reason why is not important. The fact itself is. But even though Altamar and Latios are safe, the movie still haunts me to this very day. Besides that, my life is so much better. I'm 13 years old and the leader of the LSRT. I have so many more Pokemon friends now than when I was a trainer. I wouldn't go back to being a trainer for anything. I love my team and its members, and they love me back. As always, I try my best daily to keep them happy. Well, that's all the important events that happened to me up to this point. This is where the legend continues, with a great adventure that lies just up ahead. So part 1 will be next, but how much time do I have? It's a half an hour. Wow, time flies, doesn't it? I might do this in a separate video. If you want to look at more of what I actually made a section called Meet the LSRT, which actually explains all the team members, and I can also give a description of them in full. because it'd be kind of interesting to know the personalities of all the members, etc. If you're interested in that, then go to the section Meet the LSRT. That's the name of the video. Just type in my Pokemon and I, Meet the LSRT, and you should be able to find it. If not, you can find it under my page. I'm gonna make I put it in all these videos in a playlist, so you should be able to find them easy. And if you don't really care about that, you just want to get to the story, then you could just skip ahead to part 1. Yes, part 1 is next. Yeah, you would think this is part 1, but it's not. Part 1 is the first part of the book. And it's named Greetings to Altamar, I believe? Yes, Greetings from Altamar. So, I hope you're interested in reading this, because the main, maybe the meat and potatoes that led up to the main steak didn't count. That didn't come out right. That was awful. I gotta stop trying to sound fancy. It just makes me look like a goon. Anyway, the stuff leading up to this point is just a brief explanation, and it's not really the important thing. The main important thing is the next part coming up, so I really hope you are interested in reading it along. I put a lot of time and effort into it. It's pretty good. Like I showed this to a couple of friends of mine, and they really liked it. It's actually pretty depthful, so I'm signing off for now, and I hope to see you on the first part.